Beeline, which was, I think it was great. And I tell everybody this because this is my apiary claim to fame. I'm the first person to ever complete the Beeline. So,
That's
you
awesome.
know,
You're
there could be fans after me, but I was still number one. Uh,
just real quick, I'm wondering, Alan, everybody's kind of complaining about the audio, so maybe we pull the phone a little bit more from away from your face and see if we can get better audio because it looks like it's getting a little clipping or hot because you might be a little close to it. So maybe try that.
okay, I apologize. Is this a little bit better, everybody?
Yeah, I think so. But I appreciate that. So you're the first person to go through Beeline and complete Beeline. So let's talk a little bit about risk management. Before you kind of understood risk management, how were you trading? What like before and after picture? Paint us that picture.
Okay. Well, before that, I really didn't have any concept of risk management. It was I would trade random sizes. It did not matter to me. It never occurred to me how much. It was always about how much could I win, I guess, as opposed to how much can I lose, which is always something that should be the first thing you consider. Um, Really, the greatest thing that I learned from Apiary was risk management. And when I came in, we still had the 2%, 5% risk protocols. And I understand a lot of people, and I see it, a lot of people don't like them. But for me, I probably wouldn't be trading today if if it wasn't for that, because I would have just blown up account after account after account. But those risk management protocols really saved my trading career. So, I mean, I tell people all the time, that's the best thing that I ever got out of Apiary. Mind you, I love trading Sean's money. That's almost even better. But,
So
but
I agree. I mean, if you don't have a good set of risk management rules in place, it's a lot of people have said, and I would agree with the statement. It's kind of like gambling, right? Um, and so you kind of are gambling with your own money if you don't have a good risk management system. And so learning how to manage your money is also learning how to have a good risk management system. Would you agree with that?
absolutely, absolutely.
So let me ask you a few fun questions here. So what do you actually do for a living?
I trade. I'm a professional trader.
So
I
you have achieved the status that a lot of us want to achieve. So tell me what's life on the other end like?
life on life on my end is perfect. It really, really is. Jeff Crystal makes fun of me often about, how how he'd like to have my life, where I trade a little bit and then I go out on my boat or I go to the beach. But that, to me, trading, that's what you want to get out of trading. Um,
Right.
I live on the East Coast. I'm down here in Florida. I get up at 1:30 a.m. every morning because I trade the European London session, but I'm usually done by 4 a.m. So essentially, I'm trading maybe 2.5 hours a day, um, and then that's it. I'm done. The rest of the day is mine. You know, and to me, that's what you want to do as a trader. You want to enjoy life. It allows you to do that.
Absolutely. I think I mean, ultimately everybody who's here or everybody who's trying to learn how to trade wants that, right? The freedom, right? Or financial freedom or whatever that means to them intrinsically, whatever freedom is. But, the ability to know that, I can wake up, make money, be done, put away and not have the stress of the day, right? That's the goal. That's what everybody's working towards. And I think Apiary Fund, that's what we want you guys to do, right? We want everybody in the beehive. I mean, that I get that. That's a strong feeling on our end. I hope maybe you've seen that, that we really do care about your success and making sure that you're a better trader, right? And that's ultimately what we strive for. But that's awesome that you're actually doing it. How long did it take you to get to that level in your career? You think?
Um, Certainly it took time. I've always my trading has always been a progression, and it's always been how can I improve, how can I improve, how can I improve. Even now I'm still trying to improve. I'm always working. I am a worker bee, So I try and get it. I've been a professional trader certainly since 2016. There's no doubt about that.
So you've been trading since 2016 full time, right? I mean, like that's your full time income.
Correct.
So what are let me ask you a couple of things that probably everybody wants to know, and I'm probably sure there's a question here, but what do you trade? What do you look for? What are you a scalper? Are you long term? What's your risk management? If you could kind of give us a breakdown of like, okay, I'm waking up, I'm sitting for my day, this is what I'm looking for, all that kind of stuff. That would really be appreciative, I'm sure, for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. This is going to be a mouthful. I combine strength and weakness, correlation, and multiple time frame analysis with Ichimoku concepts. And while that sounds fairly complicated, it's not. It's all a methodology that I work through on a daily basis. The first thing I do is I determine the strength and weaknesses of each individual currency. Then what I do is I take a look, I do a top-down analysis. I use the daily, the 60, and the 15-minute chart to determine key levels of support or resistance. And then I'm looking for correlation. And what I use is Ichimoku concepts. And I know you discussed the Ichimoku indicators last week. Primarily what I use is the Kijinsen from the daily, as well as the Senkou A and the Senkou B, because those are amazing support and resistance levels. If you ever put Ichimoku on a daily chart and you see price go up and it hits one of those levels, either the Kijinsen or the Senkou A or the Senkou B, it's like a stone wall. So I use those. And what I'm looking for, I trade a session. I'm generally trading the European session. Like I said, I get up at 1:30. I start taking trades at 2 a.m. And I'm generally done by 4. So, that works out very good for me. I look for trades every day, but some days I don't get trades, and that's okay. My risk reward is I'm looking for high probability trades, which, historically to me, because I do a lot of documenting, and I've talked to Nate about this, is that, I spend a lot of time, actually, probably more time reviewing my trades and documenting my trades than I actually do trading. But I spend a lot of time analyzing my trades, what went right, what went wrong, and I try and determine high probability trades. And I have a good historical basis for what works and what doesn't. So things that don't work well, I don't take them. I don't need to take a trade every day. But the ones that do work, I take them. And what I'm looking for is at least a 3-to-1 risk reward ratio, which also is why I trade the pound pairs, because the pound pairs tend to move the most. If you take a look at, say, CAD Swiss, the ATR on that is like maybe 35 pips a day. You're just not going to get, how do you get a 3-to-1 risk reward ratio? You just really can't. Right. And that's why I trade the pound pairs.
So when you strictly trade the pound, right? I mean, against the euro or the dollar or whatever, but you are always looking for kind of alignment strategy,
Correct. I trade primarily the pound. I do go outside the pound pairs from time to time, but there's generally a reason for that. It might be a news release, which causes a lot of movement in something, but generally every day I'm looking for the pound pairs.
So Montague asks, how long did it take you? And I'm gonna say, because we've already asked the question, how long did it take you to become a professional trader? But how long did it take you to develop this strategy? Because maybe that's what he's asking. Because that's what I'm curious to know is how long did it take you to kind of find this strategy, develop it, and then feel really comfortable with it?
Okay. First, Dave, I just want to tweak the word there. I know you mentioning strategy. I refer to it more as a methodology.
Okay.
And the reason for that is to me, a strategy is, say you have moving average crossovers and you buy and you sell or something like that.
Sure.
To me, a methodology, which is what I call it, is a day-to-day thing where I'm not looking for something in particular. What it is my analysis leads me to my setups. And whatever those setups are, that's what I'm doing. If all the pound pairs are up, well, guess what? I'm buying pound. I don't care if I think it's going down, but if they're all up, I'm buying. If they're going down, I'm selling. Um, Go ahead.
What time frame are you generally on? Are you strict on a time frame? Like you're only looking at the day, the 4 hour, the hour? What are you looking at?
Well, like I said, I use the daily, the 60, but I trade off of the 15.
Okay, so
So
your entries and your exits are from the 15, but you use the hour or the daily as your trend analysis. Is that right?
correct. Give
Okay.
me direction.
Okay. And so you uh, only the pound pairs. I'm just trying to paint the picture for everybody out there and myself, because so pound pairs, 15 minutes for my entries and exits, and the larger time frames to determine what trend's doing. There's a great question from I think it was Greg or Neil or somebody, but anybody out there says, well, what are you concerned about Brexit?
I only concern myself with things that I can control.
Okay, great
Um,
point.
as a trader in the market, you can only deal with what you have. And is Brexit a concern? Sure, is it a concern? You know, it, Donald Trump tweets is
Yeah,
a concern.
exactly.
So it's all a concern, but it's nothing that I can control. So, I can't sit on my hands going, well, what happens if there's surprise Brexit news today? And I get it because I've been bitten by it and I've benefited by it. But you can't not do something because you're concerned about it. You can stay away from it, but then where are you?
Yeah.
You can't. You can only limit so much stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a great point. I mean, you can only control what you can control. And that's the number one reason why I love trading currencies is because, yeah, it can get wild and crazy, but if you know how to manage that, you can make money in any market condition, right? And so it doesn't really matter what Brexit. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't matter what Brexit does or Trump tweets, as long as you know how to manage or have a good risk reward ratio, or I mean risk rules. You can basically trade through anything, right? Or you simply just don't trade it if you know there's a news event an event coming up and it doesn't fit into the way you trade, right?
Correct. Because even when there's major news coming out, and I love non-farm payroll Friday because I get to sleep in because I don't trade.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
You
trade.
know it's coming, and so you're like, I'm going to avoid it, right?
Absolutely. And like non-farm payroll is a perfect example because you can have a perfect setup, but at some point during the London session, everybody says, okay, listen, we're done. We're just going to chill out and wait for non-farm payroll. So the market goes flat.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't want to be in a position when I know there's major news coming out when I don't have to because there's just no reason for it. I can take a look after the news is released and I can trade the news after it's released. That's easy enough.
So I guess I got a question here, and I guess I answered that. So they want to know. I'm called the interview guy. Thank you, LPS Warrior fan. My name is Dave. For those of you guys who don't know me, but I actually wobble for sure. That's what I do. So I 100% wobble. I'm a scalper. That's how I trade. I honestly have the best job in the world where I literally get to sit next to Sean whenever we travel. Whenever I go to events, I travel with Sean. I'm in the hotels with him. I'm sitting next to the car with him. So he is my mentor. And so I trade pretty much the exact same way that Sean trades. And I'm trying to get as good as he is. Or, well, you know what? I don't even need to be as good as he is. I just need to be, 20 or 30% as good as he is to do it. And I am doing it. And it's made me a better trader and a lot more successful trading the way. So I have a little bit of an unfair advantage to most people because he basically is right next to me, telling me, I don't think I would have done that. No, he's kidding. Sean never has said that to me in his life, but I learned by just watching and all that. So that's pretty good. Um, let's see. Oh, hey, I'm also been told that you actually have some family that trades with us as well. So tell me a little about that. Who trades with us, and then how did do you guys trade together? And who is it that trades with
Uh,
us?
yes, my son trades with us. He is funded. He essentially when he turned 17, I basically gave him an option, which was that he needed to get a job. So I told him he could go bag groceries at Publix, which is our local supermarket, or he can learn to trade with me. So guess which one he chose?
That's awesome.
So he did. He went through Beeline. We traded, side by side, each and every day, and he worked his way through Beeline. He's now actually a level 2 trader.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so he has continued and he's still progressing through it, and he's doing great. He trades in his own room right next door to me, but we kind of trade a little bit different styles. But that's fine. That's fine. He's developed his own way, and that's great.
So, just out of curiosity, how long? So he started when he's 16. How old is he now?
Now he's 19.
Okay.
17 he started.
So I got a personal question because I'm in the same boat. So this summer, my son turned 16 in April, and this
Yeah.
summer he's like, I want to go get a job, and I said the exact same thing to him. Well, you can go get a job, or you can go through Beeline. Well, he chose to go through Beeline, and so the whole summer he's been going through Beeline. Um, but I guess the question that I have is more along the lines of, when I had imagined that when my son's 19, 20 years old and he learns this skill, um, no, there's very few 19, 20-year olds out there that are a level 2 funded trader. Do you know what I mean? Have that skill set to most people are going to college at that age or working at the grocery store, getting their first time their feet wet in jobs. But there's very few kids out there or 20-year-olds that can say, I'm a full-time trader. And so my question to you is more from a dad question. Um, does that my and this is an honest question that I have. Does that help or hurt my son's view on the world of money, right?
Well,
because
well,
because if money is easy, how does that so I struggle with that. And it's like, I don't I'm gonna do it for sure, but I'm just wondering if you've ever had those thoughts.
I've had the thoughts, but first of all, trading is not easy. I mean, unless I've been doing it wrong. But I mean, it can be done. But the other thing is when you first start out, as a level 1 trader, you're not making a lot of money. So when even when he got his funded account, I progressed him very slowly, where he was only risking 0.5% per trade, and then we gradually increased that after he proved himself.
Right.
And I think that's a great way to do it for anybody, not just my son. But he does. He has his skill set, and as a trader, he kind of annoys me sometimes because he remembers concepts that took me like years or 2 or 3 times. I would have, and he remembers it, like nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I find that to be true too. That generation just really absorbs the computer and learning and all that a lot faster than I ever did, for sure. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
He's enrolled in college. He's taking, he's doing a full-time schedule, and he trades. So it's great. So he makes money, and he trades, and he right now he as a level 2 trader, he's actually exceeded what his friends are making, because that's also one of those things where, when he first started out, even once he got funded, he wasn't making as much as some of his friends were. But now that he's a level 2, he has, and he always understood it. God bless him. He's very smart, because the upside in trading is a lot better than it is at your local job.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, sure, he's a level 2 now, but then he can keep going and progressing, and at some point he'll catch me and pass me. Which will be
And then,
fun.
and that day you'll be like, well, I'm a proud papa, but yeah, it's like
Yeah,
the first time your son beats you on the basketball court, right? You're like, no, oh well, okay.
still hasn't happened. Still
He
hasn't
hasn't done that yet. I'm gonna jump through here in YouTube and ask a couple questions, or kind of peruse the comment section real fast. Um, Let me see here. Uh, let's see. I'm just going to scroll up. It says you have some great posts, educational posts on trading views, kind of where you post your trades. You want to speak to that for a little bit and let everybody know kind of where you're at, where you can be found on TradingView for the trades that you take?
Sure. I just want to answer Montague's question here. Montague, I'm looking at it here. It took me about eight years to become a full-time trader. It didn't take me 20 plus years. And I guess you were getting a little upset because your question wasn't being answered.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
No, not a problem. Yeah, I post my trades on TradingView.com. A goal 54 there, and I think it's great because it provides accountability. It's one thing when you're sitting in the dark in your room and you're trading, and you only have yourself to be frustrated with. But when you put your trades out on a public forum, well, now everybody can see them and everybody can comment on them, and they can see. It's really a question: are your trades good? Are you doing good things? And I love the accountability with TradingView. One of the great features, in my opinion, which was absolute genius, is when you post a trade, price is frozen where it is when you post the trade. So if I say, let's buy this pair, you can then hit a fast forward button and you can see where price goes. So you can see what happens with the trade after it's been posted.
Yeah, that's I think that's a kind of, like you said, holds you accountable, right?
Yep. And I recently, here I'm going to throw my own little plug in, because I recently just posted my stats for my first 100 trades on TradingView, and they were pretty good. If you don't mind me, I'll just throw them out here for you. My first 100 trades, I had 49 wins, 14 losses, 8 flat trades, and 29 cancel trades. Out of that, I had 2,560 pips that were won, 515 pips that were lost. I had a 3.5 to 1 win to loss ratio and a 14.97 to 1 win to loss pip ratio.
Wow.
So I do okay.
Yeah. It sounds like you do. Looking at some of these questions, the question, let me just ask what George asks. George says, do you know what causes the GBP to suddenly lunge like it is relevantly, or can it lunge either direction then recovers? Have any idea why it moves?
Well, certainly the pound pair is the most volatile pair there is, and that's really why I trade it. As I said earlier, I like to have at least 3 to 1 risk-reward ratio. In order to do that, you have to have pairs that move a decent amount. Okay, that said, there's always tends to be some kind of news, some kind of rumor of news that's out there. So you got to look for these things. If there's no news that's scheduled, and all of a sudden you see a big move, you got to ask yourself, why'd that happen? Certainly, like you look at today, the bottom fell out,
right,
of the pound pair. I still really haven't found a good answer to why that is. But you can take advantage of that. I use correlation, which is a key element for me. When you see like the same pairs, like I'm talking about the pound pairs, when all the pound pairs are going down, you could just jump on board because something's happening.
Right.
You don't necessarily need to know what it is, but if it's all going one way, it's a good thing that it's going down.
Yeah, and so that's good. You need correlation alignment. If all the pairs, the same pair is moving in the same direction, more or less, right? The pound pair, then you kind of is like, hey, something, something is. I better get in that on that train, And I think that a lot of times as new traders, and I did this for me before, and a lot of times we tend to what I call chase the market, right? And so we want to be careful that we're not jumping in at the end of a move, but we're predicting the market and making sure that we're doing all of our analysis and whatever. And so we don't just get oh, there's a bar or two that dropped drastically, so I'm going to jump in, right? And so you want to make sure that you are looking at the larger time frames, all the pairs, gather all that data before you jump in. And so you want to what I call predict the market as opposed to chase the market, and so if you're looking at a 1, 5, or 15-minute chart and that's all you're looking at, you kind of have a tendency to kind of chase the market as opposed to hold on, let's step back, let me see what the pair really is doing. And it, like Alan said, if it's all moving in one direction, that is a great indication that you can help you to predict what the market is doing, right, Alan?
Absolutely.
So there's a couple questions here. What's a level two? Level two, Alan is basically he's trading a $10,000 account or larger, and that's a level two. So
Well, that's my son.
that's your son. Okay. So that's awesome. Another question is there are 4 levels beyond the initial 1 level, so there's 4 different levels of that. And let's see here. Somebody asked if you're using the Ichimoku Moku indicator, how do you do your stops?
How I use my stops? My stops are I use my stops statistically. Actually, I have recorded my data forever, and as part of the way to improve my trading, when you're trying to improve your risk reward, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can either extend your reward or limit your risk. Statistically, I have found that certain trade types that I take have a point of no return, and it's that point of no return where I put my stop. So often my stops are either 20 pips or 25 pips. Sometimes they're 30. There's only one trade type that I take that has a 30 pip stop. And, interestingly enough, the way I trade, the losses are actually not a big deal. Because I can take 20 pip losses, and as long as I'm making 60 pips or better on the wins, I'm fine.
Gotcha. And yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, a lot of people will trade with so if you're looking for like a risk reward ratio, that's not really how you look at it, because you manage your stops before it ever gets to worst case scenario, or like kind of what Sean does where it's an ejection, right? This is like, okay, I'm done, I'm out, but you're taking your losses along the way before it ever hits your stop loss. Is that kind of what I hear?
Absolutely. Yeah, Sean and I discussed this at length. Basically, what we both put on the platform is what we call disaster stop.
Yeah, exactly.
The stop is maybe 50 pips away, on paper.
Right.
But in reality, I have the number. I know where I'm going out. And like I said, it's usually 20 or 25 pips.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Robert asked me a question, actually, how long have I been trading? Personally, I've been trading in a live account. So it took me a couple months to get into a live account. I've been trading a live account for just a couple years, so about 2.5, 3 years, full-time trading. That means full-time trading. I'm trading every single day that I can. And so personally, I've been doing it for a couple of years. And I've asked a lot of questions, and I'll ask this to you. I think Alan's already answered this question, though, and it's right in line with what I've said. I've asked, Sean this question, Todd, Nate, Jeff, other traders that are not part of Apiary Fund. But I've asked this question a lot to traders, and it's one of my favorite questions is like, how long did it take you to have that confidence in trading to know that all I need is an internet connection and a laptop before I knew that I could just make money, where I didn't need any other income sources? I know for confidence sake that I can pull money out of the market and be okay. And so you kind of have that sense of financial freedom, if you will. Maybe you don't have the financial bucket, but you have that confidence that no, all you need is an internet connection and you can make money. I think you mentioned that it was 8 years. Is that correct? It took you about 8 years to get to that point, or is that sooner where you had that confidence to know I can pull money out of the market?
Confidence in methodology is always big and key because,
Mm-hmm.
when the market's going against you, you got to figure out if you're going to be able to stay in it. And it's true. It took me 8 years to go from not knowing what I was doing to be a full-time trader. And like I said, I am a worker bee. I continue to work. I continue to try and improve. I will try different things. I have a great methodology, in my humble opinion. But I'm always trying to, how can I do a little bit better? How can I improve the reward? How can I improve the risk? There's always something. There's always some kind of tweak in there that I think I can improve on.
Yeah, and exactly. And so, it took you 8 years. Sean told me 5 years. Nate was between 3 and 5 years. A lot of times they tell me between all the traders that are interviewed tell me between 3 and 5 years before they really get that knowledge. Then I love following up, and this is a question for you, Alan, is what do you wish that you would have had when you started that you have now that maybe new people that are going through that first 1 to 3 years or 1 to 5 years, what information could you give them that you wish you would have had as you were getting started?
Okay, two things. One would be managing risk reward, but risk management. One of the most important things. And I know I talked about it earlier. That would be number one. The other thing is, it's a bit of an admission. I suffered from what I call CCS disease, which is constantly changing strategies.
Yes, I think
and,
that a lot
and
of people suffer from that.
and it's a disease that inflicts traders, and believe me, it can be fatal, and it hurts a lot, especially this time of year. I have found, because the summer, everything tends to slow down, and what works 9 months out of the year may not work during the summer months. And I find a lot of people,
Exactly.
and like I said, I was in this boat myself. You start looking for different things, but once I locked in on a strategy and I stayed with it and I continued to just improve the strategy, I really just, my consistency went up, because you can't be consistent if you keep changing.
Yeah, no, you can't, honestly, that is. I hear a lot of people that I talk to, at the boot camps, at the summits, and when we travel, that they strategy hop, right? It's not working, or I didn't do, I lost, and so I must be doing something wrong. No, the market changes, right? So, and so if the market changes, you got to understand to read that and say, you know what, maybe I shouldn't trade today because it's not a favorable market for me, right?
Yeah. And just, if I can add into that, anybody that goes through it, please take your time. Understand that your trading career is not going to be based on 1 or 2 trades or 10 trades. It's going to be based on 100, 1,000, 10,000 trades. That's what your career is going to be based upon. It's not about, losing 1 or 2 trades, you know, and I get it, because that's when you start having doubts about your methodology, when you take 2 or 3 trade losses in a row. But you got to think big term, long term.
Yeah, great thought, and I appreciate you mentioning that. Is like, it's not a sprint; it's a marathon, right? And that's what I tell people a lot. Is like, you need to, if you're just trading the demo account, trade every day, right? Don't let a day go by that you're not practicing or putting something into motion or keeping it top of mind, right? Because eventually something will click, and you'll have that aha moment that a lot of traders have, right? Where you're just, aha, I'm confident, and I know that I can do this. And you're not going to get to that stage overnight. It's going to take a lot of trades placed in order for you to see, get an idea of, okay, this has happened before, and this is kind of what I do when this happens, right? So I appreciate you bringing that up. Just a couple other questions, and we'll jump off. But I appreciate you saying stick with your strategy. That's probably a great advice to somebody. Somebody does ask, how long does it take to get to level 2 or beyond? And I'm going to tell you how it works. Is that once you start trading with us or into a live account, you need to be profitable at that level, whatever that level is. That starting level is $2,500. You need to be profitable at that level for 90 days, right? It doesn't mean 90 days in a row. It just means 90 days. We want to see 3 months of profitability. And then they'll bump you to the next level, or not the next level, but they give you an increase. And so normally that's 20. It's just for example's sake. There's really only one person, our risk manager, that manages that, and he looks at your stats and he determines how much money he's going to give you. But for example's sake, let's say you go 25, then he bumps you to 5,000. Well, you're at 5,000 now. You need to trade 90 days at that level of profitability. Then he bumps you up again. So every 90 days of profitability, you're eligible for an increase. Once you hit 10,000 and above, then you start having a personal conversation with the risk manager every month or when you're eligible for that increase. A lot of people do come to us and say, I can't wait to trade that $250,000 account. And that's great, but honestly, you don't need that to make a full-time income, right? I mean, I'm not trading a $250,000 account and I'm doing just fine. Sean doesn't trade a $250,000 account and he does just fine. And so it really is, let's get you to a level of whatever that is. Apiary's goal is to get you to a level, whatever that is, to be trading so that you can be like Alan someday and make this your full-time income, if that is your desire. So I just wanted to kind of explain that to everybody, how the process works on the back end.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, could I just jump in?
Yeah, for
real
sure.
quick? Two things I'd like to add. First of all, if you take a look at it, you have to be profitable for 90 days, 3 months, and then you get a raise. Okay, so potentially you can get 4 raises in a year. There's no other job in the world that does that for you.
Exactly.
So that's huge. But another thing that I want to stress, because this isn't really out there, Ron does not care about how much money you make. He does care about how much money you lose. Okay, he does not want to see big drawdowns.
Right.
And believe it or not, he's going to give you a bigger increase if you have small losses and small drawdowns as opposed to big wins, big losses, big wins, big losses. So, you don't want to, understand where Ron is coming from. His concern is protect the account. Okay. And going forward, when you're thinking about that, something to think about.
Absolutely. And just Merrick asked, did you say 90 days profitable total or 90 days in a row? It's just every 30 days your account gets washed or basically scraped. So if you have a $10,000 account and you make $2,000 in that 30 days, we're going to take that $2,000, give you the profits on that, and you start over at 10,000. You need to do that for three times at that account. Say it's not 90 days in a row. It's not a total 90 days. It's like you need to just be profitable 3 times in a row. Not in a row, but 3 times at that level, then you're eligible for an increase. A little button will appear in your account that says submit to the risk manager, and that kind of says, you raise your hand to get that increase. And honestly, I mean, we want you guys. I mean, it makes us, obviously we want you guys to make more money. We hopefully this type of stuff that we're doing today helps, because ultimately, at the end of the day, the more money you make, the more money we make. So we really have a vested interest in helping you to be the best trader that you can be, right? And so with that being said, I certainly appreciate your time, Alan. I'm going to actually just maybe leave with in the conversation that we had today. But before we do that, I want to make sure that if you guys find this beneficial, again, like, subscribe. Also, I think we actually hit 10,000 subscribers naturally and organically. We didn't purchase subscribers. We didn't do any advertising. So we're pretty excited about that. And so hopefully we're doing something right, bringing you guys good stuff. And we're always trying to brainstorm of what is the best material that we could give you guys. in order to help you guys to be successful. So if you like this interview, if you like us to do more of these, show us by liking that, just kicking that thumbs up. And so we do go back in and say which is our most liked videos, and then we'll do more of that type of content for you. Lastly, Alan, again, I want to appreciate your time, appreciate all that you've done for us here at the Apiary Fund. Is there any final thoughts that maybe you'd leave newbies or people that are just getting started, that might be struggling or want to get to where you're at? Is there any last feedback or comments that you'd probably give them?
Absolutely. First of all, we have 129 people watching this video. I think we ought to have 129 likes.
I agree with you. Let's get it.
But that said, certainly if you're a novice and you're starting out, find something that works for you. There's two things that you have to consider whenever the strategy is. And one is, does it fit your personality, but also does it fit the time that you have to trade? Okay. Certainly when I first started trading, I had a day job. So I had to do both, right? So you have to find a consistent time that you're going to be able to trade and find a strategy that works for it. That said, then start forward thinking and say, well, how do I want to trade? How do I want to do this? Okay. And for me, I do it the way I want to do it. I get up, I'm not happy about getting up at 1:30, but basically I'm trading for 2.5 hours a day and I'm done. I have the rest of the day for myself. So that's the way I wanted to do it. That's the way I'm doing it. Anybody has any questions, needs any help, feel free to reach out to me. I'm on both the Apiary site and the TradingView site. And I know there's quite a few people here today that I've talked to and I've interacted with, and hopefully I've helped them a little bit. So, anything I can do to help, feel free to reach out to me.
That's awesome, Alan. I appreciate you leaving that as an open statement, because I know that you have. I know that there's a lot of people that I've talked to that have certainly appreciate your insight, your thoughts, and your help. And so, again, thank you for being here today with us. Hopefully everybody saw extreme value, extreme benefit from Alan's journey, and hopefully you guys can take that and, if nothing else, help you to propel you to where you want to be. So with that, I appreciate everybody being on here today, and we'll go ahead and end there. So thank you guys, and we're done.